Coming up tonight on Primetime Local News. A look at the new slate of city councilors for the border city. And more info on a Holocaust exhibit at the Museum and Archives. Plus, Lloydminster United Way gets ready for Novemberger.
Primetime Local News, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello and welcome to Primetime Local News. I'm Callan Dunlop. Thanks for joining us. The Lloydminster municipal election has wrapped up, with just over 3,600 voters representing 18% of eligible voters in the city. 3 newcomers joined the council scene, as well as 3 returning councilors. David Lopez, Jason Whiting, and Michael Diachuk were re-elected to serve the Lloydminster community. While Lopez wasn't available for an interview today, both Whiting and Diachuk are happy the voter base has trust and faith in them.
To have that voting public trust me to go into council for the next 4 years, and really thankful for that, and appreciate all the votes, and just in general, just people coming out to vote regardless of who they voted for. So thankful to be one of those 6 on council.
Knowing that people expressed confidence in me to serve a 3rd term, which is something I never dreamed of, quite frankly. It was never in my plan of life to become a politician, so to speak, and some of the projects that I've been involved with, the people I've worked with, have been more than rewarding, and I'm excited about continuing that.
The 2 re-elected councillors are eager to continue to be there for the community, already both serving under a number of committees, as well as identifying some of the issues Lloyd residents have been vocal about.
One is around Pioneer Lodge, the old wing. I want to see that replaced, and we've begun that planning process with Lloyd Housing. And the other one is certainly creating a much more stronger regional presence from an economic and tourism perspective for our Vermilion River Regional Alliance, so all the way from Manville to Lloyd, and we have some projects in the work with that as well.
And of course, this election, we heard a lot about the hospital, although it's not really in our mandate and part of the things, but we definitely want to encourage our provincial governments to continue to keep a close eye on our hospital and some of the health care that is in our community and the challenges of our border city. So, there's a lot to do, and it starts immediately.
Candidates were elected to both school boards as well. Those results are available on the city's website. Callan Dunlop, Primetime Local News. There are some new faces on City Council as a result of the Lloyd election. One of those is 23-year-old Justin Vance. Vance says he is excited to step into the role of city councilor, but acknowledges that he has to do everything he can to make sure his campaign promises to become reality.
I got some big shoes to fill. I need to stand back on the promises that I made, and all the door knocking I did, and the folks I talked to that, I gave them my word that I'm going to serve them to the best of my ability, and I got to uphold that. And I'm just excited to show everyone what I'm made of.
Vance believes that he was elected because the voters are looking for a fresh perspective, and believes that the incumbents were voted to balance out the change with tradition.
It looks like they want change, but only to a certain extent. And that's, I think, the greatest way to show that we're ready to move forward, but, keep some of the old traditions, I guess you can say. And it's kind of nice to still work with the incumbents, and they have the experience, they have the know-how, how to keep the ship floating.
Vance is one of 3 new city councilors, with the other 2 being Michelle Charles Gustafson and Jim Taylor, who were unavailable for interviews today. The United Way Lloydminster and District has their first ever Novemberger campaign starting this Friday and going till November 22nd. This is where people can purchase burgers from several local restaurants, and $3 from the price of the burger will go to charity. Our Jackson Fontaine has more about the campaign.
I'm here at the United Way in Lloydminster District with Brenda Birch and Tammy Claudes. How you guys doing today?
Good, thank you.
So you guys got your first ever Novemberger campaign starting soon. So Tammy, why don't you just tell me a little bit about it?
Yeah, so we are starting our first annual Novemberger. The idea came from United Way Thunder Bay. This is their 6th year at doing this event. And so we wanted to try it here in Lloydminster, and yeah, we're just going to see how it goes. We've had good success with some of the local restaurants coming on board with that, so we're really excited.
And before we kind of start talking about the campaign, why don't you tell me what the United Way Lloydminster and District is?
Yeah, so the United Way Lloydminster and District is a nonprofit organization. We have been providing services here for 71 years. So the money that we obtain through our fundraising events is returned back into our community to other nonprofit organizations that provide the programs. So that's how we support our local programming.
So now kind of moving forward to start talking about the campaign, where can people get these burgers, Brenda?
We have partnered with a bunch of the local restaurants. So currently we have Cheers Restaurant, Proper, Rusty's, Long Branch, The Sticks, Bennigan's, and the Green Glacier Eatery, which is at Lloyd Golf and Country Club.
And with it being your first campaign ever with the United Way Lloydminster and District, why is it important to have a fundraiser like this in Lloydminster?
Well, everybody likes to eat and everyone likes to feel good about giving to charity. So we thought we would combine the two so you could have a full tummy and feel good about donating.
Well, I'm sure it's going to be a great campaign, and I can't wait to hear about it. Tammy, Brenda, thanks for doing this today.
Thank you.
For having us.
Despite the above average temperatures for this time of year, we still woke up to some snow this morning.
Yes, for sure, which is what I said last night. We were going to experience that. It was wet, it was thick, it was not great. It was
not a great morning.
No, and it did remain quite chilly and overcast all throughout the day. Even now, we are just a little bit below zero at -1. So things are definitely on the cooler end. It does feel closer to -4 with that windshield, but the wind isn't too much of a factor, only 9 kilometers per hour, but it is definitely still on the chillier side, especially as the sun sets, and we did experience mostly cloudy skies today with that mixture of wet snow. Current temperatures in Alberta, -1, also out in Marwayne, Vermilion, Vegreville, St. Paul, and Bonnyville, 0 out in Edmonton and Wainwright, -2 in Cold Lake and in Lac La Biche. And in Saskatchewan, -3 up in Isle Cross and Meadow Lake, -2 in Pierceland and in Green Lake, -1 in St. Walburg and Maidstone, and +1 out in Macklin and in North Battleford. Overnight tonight in North Battleford, conditions will drop down to about -4. Lower clouds in the sky. There's about a 25% chance of seeing some precipitation. Not a huge chance, but it is still there. 13 kilometer per hour wind, so it will definitely be on the chillier side. And then tomorrow, only a daytime high of 0. Low clouds again, you see that 25% chance. So there is always a little bit of a chance that there could be some precipitation. 11 kilometer per hour wind. So it is going to feel a little bit chilly tomorrow. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake, -5, low clouds as well, 9 kilometer per hour winds, and again, 25% chance of some precipitation. Into tomorrow, a daytime high of also only 0, low clouds as well, 9 kilometer per hour winds, and about a 25% chance of some precipitation. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster, -4 will be our overnight temperature, 11 kilometer per hour wind, so it picks up just a little bit, and like other areas, 25% chance of precipitation. And then tomorrow, expect quite a cloudy day out. Around 6 a.m., it will be -3, 9 kilometer per hour winds. That will be the case throughout the day, so wind won't be a huge factor tomorrow. Noontime, it will be around -1, cloudy conditions still, -2 by around 6 p.m., and the wind even slows down just a little bit to 6 kilometers per hour. Into midnight, around -3, wind picks up just a little bit to 11. And then over the next 3 days, it will get up to a high of +1 tomorrow and a low of -3. And then on Saturday, experience low clouds in the sky with temperatures at 0 as your high and -5 as the low. And then on Sunday, we get a break from the clouds and have some sun with a high of +3 and a low of -3. So we just have to get through the next couple days of gloominess where we get that sun on Sunday. But for right now, that is what we're sitting at. And that is your first look at your evening weather forecast. We'll have more news coming up after the break.
The Holy Rosary Raiders are once again in the 3A ASAA Provincial Championships, going for a third championship title in a row. Our Thomas Wildman has more.
Today I'm joined by Vince Oreo, the head coach of the Holy Rosary Raiders football team. He is here today to talk about their upcoming provincial championship game. And so thank you so much for joining me today, Vince.
Thanks for having me, Thomas.
The last time I talked to you, Vince, you guys were just before the Wheatland Football League finals. You guys ended up winning that game. And so how exciting is it that you guys got the win this year after coming so close last season?
Yeah, I've sort of lost track of how many finals in a row. It's definitely been there every year since 21, I think a few years before that too. But yeah, after a disappointing loss in 2023, it was nice to bring home the championship this year.
And you guys have already started provincials. How did that first game go, and how exciting is it to be back in provincials once again?
There was to 19, and we were successful in all of those games. I might even play them in 21. I don't exactly recall. But either way, we showed up and we were ready to go on Saturday. The boys prepped well all week, and our coordinators had good game plans on both sides of the ball, and the kids just executed, and we came away with the victory.
And it did snow today here in Lloydminster. How does poorer weather affect your team in terms of your passing attack versus your running attack? And how are you guys going to be able to deal with that for the coming games to come, as the weather's not going to be getting much warmer?
I mean, we've been lucky up to this point where the weather's been good. You're right, it snowed today, so it's probably going to force us inside for practice if the field conditions are a little wet and slippery. But that's just part of playing football this time of year. And we've got the facility to handle that sort of thing without taking too much out of the practice plan. But as the weather gets a little bit colder, as it is every year, you have a balanced attack on your offense. So you have to have a strong running game, which is really going to come into play if the weather turns for the worse. And we feel like we have pretty balanced. So if the weather holds and we can still throw the ball around, great. But if we have to rely on a ground game in conditions that aren't favorable, we feel like we can execute there too.
And your next matchup is against the St. Paul Lions, another member of the Wheatland Football League. How does that change your guys' game plan going up against a team you know well? And how exciting is it, though, that you get to play them once again?
Well, we know what they're capable of. We know they're well coached, and we know they play physical football. And they're definitely going to try to come out and avenge the loss in the Wheatland final. And they've got some good athletes, and again, their coaches will put them in the right position and prepare them well. So it should be a bit of a fight on Saturday.
With a win on Saturday, you guys will be in the provincial finals once again and having the chance to three-peat. How exciting is that for your program and being able to be at the top of Alberta football once again?
If we win on Saturday, there would just be one game left. That would be the provincial final. So the winner of the game on Saturday will play the winner of Willow Creek and Cochrane. So it's exciting, to be in this position, have an opportunity to go back, and it would be, an opportunity to win 3 in a row. We lost in 2021, won in 22 and 23, so we're hoping to get back there and try to make it 3. We know it's going to be a tough test here on Saturday, and we're not sure exactly who we're playing. It's going to be a Cobra team because Willow Creek's the Cobras and Cochrane's the Cobras, so the winner's going to face one of those two teams, and they're having great seasons. And that provincial final, whether it's us or St. Paul, will be a heck of a game.
Thank you so much for all the information today, Vince, and good luck to you and your team in your next provincial games.
The Lloydminster Museum and Archives is currently showcasing 2 exhibits from the Montreal Holocaust Museum. Abby St. John has more.
The Lloydminster Museum and Archives is hosting 2 traveling exhibitions from Montreal, and today I'm joined by Sarah Hawkridge, museum technician. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for your time and for sharing the screen with the museum.
Of course, I love speaking with you, and you guys always have such cool exhibitions, and this is no different. These are from the Montreal Holocaust Museum, and there are 2 of them. So first, to start off, can you tell me a little bit about each of the exhibitions that are currently on display at the museum?
I will, absolutely. So both of these exhibitions are on loan from the Montreal Holocaust Museum and are made available in part by the Government of Canada. So when folks do pay admission to the museum and come into our temporary gallery, they will see 2 separate exhibitions. So in the center of our gallery is Tell Me a Story, Youth Literature and the Holocaust. So this introduces the history of the Holocaust to children, ages 8 and up, and it focuses on the values and themes that are central to childhood, and is a starting point for raising awareness about the dangers of racism, anti-Semitism, and intolerance. And the exhibit is divided into 7 sections, and it exposes children's experiences during the Holocaust. And it presents 5 works of youth literature that were inspired by the real life stories of characters. And the books are called In Hiding, Hannah's Suitcase, What World Is Left, The Smell of Fresh Soap, and Fanya's Heart. And so when folks come into that exhibit, they will get to learn a little bit about each of um, the children in the book, the children that were inspired, um, the inspiration rather for the book, and get to learn a little bit more of the author and why they were inspired to write that book. There are some replicas of artifacts that people can engage with, and there is also an opportunity for folks to leave a message as well in the end. So it is interactive in that way. The other exhibit that we have also from Montreal Holocaust Museum, it's entitled Witnesses to History, Keepers of a Memory. Now, so over 40 years, Holocaust survivors have been sharing their life stories with museum visitors in Montreal. And the Montreal Museum encourages this sharing, and they celebrate this sharing. And so in 2019, the Montreal Holocaust Museum launched a photography project to acknowledge and celebrate the exceptional witnesses to history and keepers of memory. So 30 survivors were each photographed in the privacy of their own homes, and they shared their stories. They also shared precious belongings and documentations and items that they hold dear to them, that they held close to them during the Holocaust. And a lot of these objects became a part of the photo sessions. And thanks to these possessions and stories, the exhibit offers a sensitive look at the extraordinary lives and the memories, as well as the hardships of the Holocaust, and messages of strength and resilience.
That sounds amazing. And just from off your descriptions alone, I can already tell just how impactful both these exhibits are, especially on children who are coming to see them. I think it's vitally important for them to learn about this history, especially today. Now, going off of that, what are some things that attendees will take away from these exhibits?
So there are no, images of gore. There's no images of war. There's no images of death. But this exhibit focuses on the survivors and the stories of the survivors and the people that actually experienced the Holocaust, and maybe live to tell the story, or their families live to tell the story. And so you get an in-depth look at the experiences, and it is very impactful, and it can be very emotional. We did provide a nice rest area within the gallery. So if folks are feeling they need to take a minute to rest and reflect, we've got a seating area with Kleenex and that sort of thing. But we acknowledge that it is important to speak about the Holocaust, and it helps to better understand the diverse communities and remind everyone of the harmful effects of racism and anti-Semitism and intolerance in society. So that will be seen in the text panels and in some of the images. But I think overall it's very emotional.
Yes, it does sound like that. And just going off of again what you're saying, it definitely shows through that. And just listening to these stories are in itself very impactful, and it's meant to touch you, and you learn from it as well. Now, it has already started. It started on November 1st and is going till January 11th. What should people know? Times of operation, and if it's a ticketed event or just general admission?
So the museum is open Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So this exhibit, as well as our Heritage Gallery, are both just admission by donation. And I think the admission starts at $7.75 for an adult and goes down from there based on ages. And then I would like to just share that we are partnering with the Jewish Federation of Edmonton, and they will have second generation survivors coming to the museum on December the 9th, and that is at 6 p.m. It is a registered ticketed event, so folks are encouraged to check in with the museum or check in our Facebook event page to sign up for that. And it is children and grandchildren and second generations of survivors that share the harrowing stories and the atrocities, but also messages of hope and resilience and strength.
Wonderful. Well, both these exhibits and that event sound wonderful and a great way to learn about the history behind it, and definitely something that you can take with you today for sure. So thank you so much for joining me and sharing these exhibits with us.
Thank you very much.
It's now time to take a look at your adorable animals in our pet picks of the day.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to have them featured on Pet of the Day.
A former Holy Rosary student was a recent finalist for a prestigious award in Alberta. Stacy Comer found out more about the project designed to help with early detection and assessment of some neuromuscular disorders in patients.
I am happy to be joined today on Primetime Local News by a former Lloydminster resident. Doesn't live here anymore, but is doing great things at NAIT, and just so amazing. I just can't wait to have a chat with you about this. Jose Rogelio Morales is here today. Thank you so much for joining me, Jose.
Hi, I'm honored to be here.
Well, I want to talk about, first of all, say congratulations to you because you were a finalist along with Eliza in the ASET Capstone Project of the Year. So that's a pretty big
Thank
deal.
you.
So congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, and the reason you were a finalist is because your project, it's the dynamite, and I'm going to let you explain it because you have a much better understanding of what it is. So can you tell me about the dynamite project?
Well, Project Dynamite is a glove worn by the patient. It's a portable, compact device that's used for diagnosing neuromuscular diseases like Guillain-Barré syndrome and diabetic neuropathy. And it uses sensors in the finger and the arm to detect hand movement and muscle movement.
So how much work went into coming up with this? Like, this is not something that you just think of in a day and put together. How much work was it to get this whole project going and get to the point where you could actually enter it in this competition?
The brainstorming process actually took one whole semester at NAIT. We were still thinking up of ideas, which is how we stumbled upon this idea of a glove that was used to detect fine hand movements. We wanted to build up on that by adding a way to sense muscle movement as well. And so the next semester, we were fully set on making this a glove that was portable, that was compact, and I can only speak for my side of the work, which was mostly the physical side. It was a lot of work within 4 months of 3D printing, 3D design, uh, designing the circuit board, soldering, making sure everything was in place with my partner as well. Uh, me and her had to collaborate a lot with different aspects of the project since he was more on the coding aspect.
Right.
So me and her were just throwing ideas back and forth, making sure that we knew what the other was doing and that we had all of our needs met for the physical build and the program itself.
So what happens with this now? Is it going to be put into practical use? Do you still have more development, or where are you at with that?
We're not working on it now currently, but I'm open if any investors come along to help fund the project. That would be amazing. But I still have some ideas for it. I still
Mhm.
have ideas to make it more compact, make it more easy to use, make it more convenient for people who wear it.
And when you were going through the semester at NATE, does NATE fund everything for the development of this, or did you guys have to work on raising funds for that project as well?
Um, well, Nate did not fund this project at all. We came up with the funding on our own with our own time.
Mhm. Well, and what was it like for you to be a finalist in the ASET Awards? That must have been quite an honor for you.
Yeah, it was definitely surprising, and immediately excitement came that my work and my partner's work was recognized for such an award.
So, what is your goal now for the future? Where do you see yourself? Are you going to be, more schooling and expanding the schooling, and are you going to be, taking more courses and switching classes, or what is the future looking like for you, Jose?
To me, it's looking like I want to learn more about equipment in this field. I grew up repairing video game consoles and electronics with my brother, and I've always had an interest for electronics. The biomedical engineering technology program opened the medical technology up for me. So I think I still want to continue working and trying to get myself to learn more about medical equipment in my field.
Well, Jose, thank you so much for joining me today, and congratulations once again. This is such an honor for you to be a finalist in this category, and I know that your teachers back here in Lloydminster are very proud of you and what you've accomplished. So, congratulations once again, and thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Coming up after the break, our Abby St. John will have another look at our evening weather forecast.
Taking a final look at our evening weather forecast, it's currently -1, feels closer to -4 with that wind chill, 9 km/h winds. It was quite a gloomy day out today, and we did experience some sticky, wet snow this morning. So definitely not the greatest day, but thankfully, the wind speed isn't that big either. Current conditions in Alberta, -2 in Cold Lake and Athabasca, also at Rocky Mountain House, -3 in Red Deer, 0 out in Edmonton, -1 in Whitecourt, and 4 in Jasper. And in Saskatchewan, -3 out in Meadow Lake, 0 in Prince Albert and North Battleford, 1 in Saskatoon, and 3 in Melfort. And if we head up north in Saskatchewan, a little bit cooler of conditions, -12 in Uranium City, -11 in Stony Rapids, -7 in Wollaston Lake, -4 in La Loche, Buffalo Narrows, and South End, -1 in Flin Flon. And in Alberta, -7 in Fort Chipewyan, -8 in High Level, -5 in Fort Mac, -6 in Peace River, -4 in Grand Prairie, -1 out in Slave Lake. Down south in Alberta, -1 in Coronation, 3 in Banff, 6 in Calgary, and 7 in Lethbridge and in Medicine Hat. And in Saskatchewan, 3 in Kindersley and Swift Current, 5 in Moose Jaw and Regina, 4 out in Yorkton, and Estevan is sitting at +6. Overnight tonight in North Battleford, temperatures will drop to about -4 overnight, low clouds in the sky, 13 km/h winds, and there is about a 25% chance of some precipitation. Overnight tonight in Cold Lake, a -5 will be your overnight temperature. Wind speeds not too bad at 9 km/h, low clouds in the sky. And then current or overnight temperatures across the region, there is some chance of snowfall as well. -5 in Meadow Lake and Isla Cross, -4 in Bonnyville, -3 in Provost, and -6 in Paradise Hill. And in Meadow Lake, there's about a 67% chance of a little evening snow and a 96% chance of snow out in Isla Cross, accumulating about 2 to 4 centimeters. More overnight temperatures, -3 in Murnum, Unity, and Wainwright, and -5 in Pierceland and in Calgary. In Pierceland, there's about a 55% chance of a bit of snow early, and then it will remain cloudy throughout the evening. Overnight tonight here in Lloydminster will drop down to -4, low clouds as well, 11 km/h winds, and there's about a 25% chance of some precipitation. Over the next 7 days, the clouds will remain tomorrow with a high of 1 and a low of -3. On Saturday, low clouds in the sky with a high of 0 and a low of -5. And then we finally get the sun back on Sunday with a high of +3 and a low of -3. On Monday to start your week off, just a high of 0, low of -9, a mix of sun and cloud. And then on Tuesday, there should be plenty of sunshine. However, those highs will be below 0 at -3 and a low of -13. So the evening will get quite chilly on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, a high of -3, low of -7. And then on Thursday, to round out the next 7 days, a high of -1 and a low of -9. So we do get the sun back. However, it is still going to be quite cold out, so don't let the sun deceive you. It is still going to be very cold, but at least the sun gives a little bit of cheeriness.
It definitely alleviates the gloom.
Yeah.
It gets the seasonal depression really hits in when it's very gloomy outside
And dark all day.
Yeah, we can appreciate the sun for sure. That is all the time we have today for Primetime Local News. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great night.